They told her humans were fragile. They told her kindness was weakness. But when her ship crashed and her own people left her to die, it wasn't her empire that saved her life. It was a human, a scavenger with nothing to gain who knelt beside a stranger and gave everything anyway. That human left her with only one thing: a smile. A small, fleeting smile that burned brighter than 1,000 suns. Years later, when war tore their worlds apart, she did the unthinkable. She betrayed her empire, stole a ship, and crossed galaxies through fire and blood, for one reason only: to return a single human smile. Before we step into this journey, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who loves HFY as much as you do. Now, let's begin. The galaxy had never been kind to strangers. On the outer edges of the Zathari Dominion, warships patrolled the skies like carrion birds, and planets were divided not by borders, but by scars. Among the Zathari, weakness was despised, pity was outlawed. They were a people who measured life in strength alone, and those who faltered were abandoned. So when a young Zathari anthropologist named Kalyra crash-landed on a barren world, she expected nothing else. Her distress beacon flickered into silence. Her lungs struggled against toxic dust. Her body ached in ways her physiology could not heal. And when no rescue came, she understood. Her empire had written her off. She was as good as dead, but death did not come. Instead, something else arrived, something she had been taught to dismiss as myth: a human. He was no soldier, no conqueror, just a scavenger, picking through wreckage under the poisonous twilight sky. She remembered the sound of his boots crunching over broken metal, the way his breath rasped inside his cracked filter mask. He looked at her, an alien, a stranger, a potential threat, and yet his hands did not reach for a weapon. They reached for her. She tried to push him away. Her pride screamed at her to resist, but she was too weak. And so he lifted her, awkwardly but gently, and carried her back to a shelter he had carved out of the ruins. For 3 days, he nursed her. She never knew his name. She never knew why he bothered when food was scarce and water scarcer. But she remembered his eyes, tired, scarred by hardship, but filled with something she had never seen in her own people: compassion. And when at last she was strong enough to rise, she remembered one final thing: his smile. A small, weary smile, cracked with dust and exhaustion, but real. The kind of smile that said, "I see you. I don't care what you are. You matter." Her transport eventually arrived, not from her empire, but from a neutral trader who picked up faint traces of her fading beacon. She never saw the human again. She was carried back to her people, scarred but alive, carrying something far more dangerous than wounds: a seed, the seed of doubt. Years passed. Kalyra returned to her duties, but she was never the same. She walked among her people, who prided themselves on cruelty, and found herself haunted by the memory of that nameless scavenger's hands, his voice, his smile. And when war came, as it always did in the galaxy, she could no longer stay silent. The Dominion declared war on humanity, branding them pests who multiplied too quickly and dared to resist too fiercely. Armadas were unleashed, worlds were burned. To Kalyra's people, it was just another campaign. To her, it was betrayal of the highest order, because she knew humanity, not through scrolls or propaganda, but through one man's kindness. So she made her choice. One night, beneath the metallic spires of her city, Kalyra stole a ship. A small courier vessel, unarmed, unsuited for war. She cut through the void, fleeing the reach of her empire, dodging patrols, slipping past blockades. Each system she crossed, the weight of treason grew heavier, but she clung to one thought: she had to find him, the human who had saved her life. not because she owed a debt. Her people didn't believe in such things, but because his smile had ignited something she couldn't extinguish. The journey was not easy. She crossed pirate territories where ships closed in like vultures. She bartered with smugglers, offering fragments of knowledge in exchange for star charts. She survived ambushes, sabotage, even sabotage by her own crewmates who turned mercenary. At every step she asked one question: where are the humans? And always the answer came back in fragments. Broken fleets, refugee convoys, a species battered but unyielding, and woven among the stories whispers, stories of a scavenger on a world long scarred who had saved more lives than his own. Kalira's heart tightened. Could it be him? When she finally reached the human sector, war was everywhere. Starfields glowed with burning wreckage. Colonies lay silent, their skies filled with the smoke of destruction. And yet, through the ruins, she saw something astonishing. The humans endured. On every world, resistance flickered like stubborn embers. Civilians shielding each other, soldiers refusing to kneel, engineers rebuilding machines from wreckage, humanity, beaten and bloodied, but alive. And there, on the edge of a shattered world, she found him. Older now, his face marked by scars, his body leaner, harder. But his eyes, those had not changed. She approached cautiously, expecting fear or anger. Instead, when he recognized her, his lips curved again into that same small smile, a smile that made her forget the fire raining from the skies. Their reunion did not go unnoticed. To the Dominion, she was a traitor. To the humans, she was a stranger. And yet, against all odds, the two of them stood together. He taught her what it meant to fight not for conquest, but for each other. She showed him the knowledge her people had hidden away, maps of enemy supply lines, weaknesses in the Dominion fleet. Together, they became something more than fugitives. They became hope. One Zathari exile and one human scavenger, bound by nothing but a smile, began to shift the balance of war. And as the years rolled on, their bond deepened. Not just allies, not just companions. Something more. Something that neither empire nor species had words for. Kalira had once been told that kindness was weakness, but she had seen the truth. Kindness was strength. The kind of strength that could cross galaxies. The kind that could ignite revolutions. The kind that could take one fragile smile and turn it into a beacon the galaxy could not ignore. And so, when the histories of that war were finally written, they did not begin with fleets or weapons. They began with a single act of compassion, one human saving one alien. And they ended with a story the galaxy would never forget. Because sometimes, the smallest gestures, the ones no one else sees, can burn bright enough to light the stars. Thank you for listening. If you felt something in this story, drop a like, subscribe, and share it. It helps us tell more of these human-centered tales to the world. And I want to hear from you. Do you believe one small act of kindness can change the course of history? Tell me in the comments below. Until next time, keep watching the stars.